To this point, I'll talk a little bit more. But for right now, raise your hand, please. If you're reading a canon text. Michaela, what are you reading?
Night.
Night. Okay. And Aaron, you did speak to me about it. You're reading The Help. Who else? Anyone else? Nick, what are you reading?
Night.
Night, also, that's right. And Chris, what are you reading?
Fahrenheit 451.
Fahrenheit 451. Okay. Anyone else? Mason. Great. Now, I hope you've realized too that when you take a look at the lists, I do have some of these books. I have copies of some of these books, and so if any of you would like to borrow them from me, that would be great. Annika, did you have one?
Oh, no, but can we get a list? Or where do we find the list?
The list is found. I did post it on the Glassroom stream, so just kind of, if you don't want to scroll through, because eventually it's going to be rather cumbersome, I have it listed under handouts. So if you go to the Glassroom and then you look for my topic that says handouts and click on it, it'll be there. Okay, it's under handouts. Yes, I think it is. It'll send you there, and it'll give you the list of all of the houses, not just West House, and you can choose from them. All right. Thank you very much. So writing workshop, the protocol is very simple. We always start the day with SSR and SSW. I hope you guys are realizing that it does warm up your brain for English. It's a nice transition, obviously, from Schiller's class as well. And I really do love the way that you guys are settling yourselves and you're not waiting for me. It's quite encouraging. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we always will have that. But then right after, as soon as you see writing workshop, this is how it goes. 15 minutes of a mini lesson, the rest of the class time to work, last 10 minutes is closure. So the only thing, honestly, that changes from the routine is the mini lesson, the content thereof, and the closure. Today you're doing an exit survey, and that exit survey will be found on the Glassroom, and hopefully most of you have a little notification that pings you when I post something on the Glassroom. If not, I'll gently remind you about 10 minutes before the end of class. Most of you will probably be using the laptops anyway, but if you are not using a laptop today, just grab one at the end of class and take my exit survey. But anyhow, so mini lesson starts at 15 minutes, and that's tops. As in, that's all I'm going to talk at you, because I do believe that the majority of your time needs to be working. In this class, I'd already introduced my educational philosophy of the rope and hanging yourself. And some of you looked at me sort of outraged. How dare she talk about hanging ourselves? Ladies and gentlemen, it is just a saying. Okay? And the saying, let me repeat once again, is you are given enough rope to hang yourself. And in this case, it is symbolic. The rope is the liberties and the freedoms. I give you liberties and freedoms in the classroom because you guys are adults, and I will treat you as such. If you choose to take that liberty, to take that rope during the work time, and you choose to do other things, watch YouTube videos, take a nap, do Tinnis's homework, talk to each other and socialize. That's your prerogative, that's your rope, right? Whether or not you choose to hang yourself on that rope is completely up to you. And what do I mean by that? If you find that you do your best work outside of the confines of my classroom, if you write best at home, late at night, you all know your writing abilities and your writing proclivities, if you will, then have at it. I get it. But just know that you will still have the same exact deadline, you will still have the same exact requirements, and you will be responsible for them. Okay? Your time is your own. Once I say work, choose wisely. Another reason why I don't really monitor the work is because when we write, this is workshop, this is not English class. And when you workshop, when you're writing, different people always take different, they use time differently. For example, some of you may immediately start drafting. That means writing, right? But we're just gonna call it drafting because what you put down is not necessarily your final piece. Some of you might be drafting. Some of you might be rereading what you'd already drafted because I'm encouraging you to work independently. That's fine too. But think about this. If you're spending 10 minutes reading and then the rest of the time drafting, you may not write as much as someone who immediately started drafting. Make sense? Some of you may choose, hey, I have a piece, you have a piece. Can we read each other's pieces and give each other feedback? At that point, you're definitely not drafting at all. So in the past, when I said work, I used to require you at the end of the block to show me evidence that you were working, but it just didn't fly. It felt really contrived, it felt really forced, and it made people do things in the writing process that they were not comfortable doing. And I don't want that to happen to you. So once again, This is your rope. Do with it as you wish. How I am going to hold you accountable, however, is the closure. And the closure will always change. Today, it's a question on the glass room. Maybe tomorrow, it'll be a whip it around the room where you're sharing a single line from the piece you've already written. Maybe it's author's chair. Well, I will ask for volunteers from the audience. You come up here and read whatever you'd written that day. Closure always changes. And that's your accountability for the day. Right? So that's protocol. Fair enough? We're good? Because Ms. Ghana is going to start time, I'm going to do the mini lesson for the day, which is the rubric. Here we go. Time. So the rubric. For some of you, as soon as I introduce my component, you are raring to go. You're like, oh, I already know how to do this. I know how to write this. Ms. Evers really explained it well. For some of you, you're still a bit paralyzed. You're stymied. You're like, where do I begin? And I guess the best way to get you out of this paralysis is to give you your end goal. Because many of you, no matter how much I talk up a storm, will always just consider my class a grade. You will never love to read. You will never love to write. You just want that grade. And for those of you, I respect that. That's cool. Let me show you how you get your grade. You should all be familiar with this format because I stole it directly from Schiller's. She urged us to steal it from her because she says the more familiar you are with the rubric, the easier it is to understand. So, having said that, you should all know that she does it numerically, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that really the qualifications and criteria in the rubric does not change from column to column, only the number changes, and the number goes down depending on how many pieces you are lacking. Because I assume most of us want the highest grade, I'm just going to focus on columns 5 and 4, right? Now, your peers have told me last block that you were probably the last class that had the APAEE system, right? You are. I don't think the juniors are even familiar with that grading system anymore. So I'm here to tell you that the 5, in my book at least, is the E. And the E is perfection. So, as you can see, on my 5 column, a lot of the times it'll simply say goes above and beyond. And I don't specify what that means. The reason for this is because if I give you specifications, then that means you've only met my expectations. And that's an A, it's 95, but it's not perfection. Perfection is you go above the expectation, right? So keep that in mind. Someone's gonna ask, but what does that mean? And I'll shrug my shoulders and I'll say, impress me. And you'll say, that's not fair. And I'll nod my head and agree with you, okay? 4 is a 95, 4 is an A. So let's go ahead and take a look at what 4 means in each of my categories. I have 4 categories for this paper. The first category is content, obviously. It is 55 points out of your 100 points. So this is